Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Snoo, and I'm bringing you one of my favorite kind of videos today. It's going to involve some kind of new tech or new interaction or brand new item or old item, figuring out some way to unlock all kinds of player power for a seemingly low investment cost, which is certainly the case here. What we're looking at is a jewel called Rational Doctrine. I suspect very few of you have even heard of this, let alone figured out a way to use it, especially if you're like me and you particularly favor bow builds, ranger builds, dexterity class builds, because the downside is pretty restrictive for any kind of ranger. Typically can't even be used outside of something like Omniscience, actually. But I'm not running an Omniscience build. I'm using a physical to element conversion Magic Find Tornado Shot Deadeye, which is currently at a pivotal point where I'm about to transition it to a Sublime Vision build. It's going to basically be the same build, just have a little bit, I guess, a little bit less defense and a lot more damage in the end. But in this case, I'm getting some real player power out of this jewel. I happen to have an extra jewel slot to work with, and I think it's one of the most impressive jewels that is going to be featured in any one of my builds in recent times. I discovered it last league, but realized very quickly there's no way I could ever use it because, in the case of this jewel, the downside of it has very steep stipulations on your attributes. Requires you to have more strength than dexterity, more intelligence than dexterity, which is basically impossible. Again, outside of Omniscience, which it does work for, by the way, so as I understand. I've never had a character that had less than 300 dex or more than 200 strength, more than 200 intelligence, so couldn't really make any use of this. But as you know, this league, you probably know where I'm going with this. Well, the brand new league has given us the tattoo system, which has enabled all kinds of cool new things, new interactions. This is just another example of one of those things to do. So let me tell you about this jewel. Its upside, downside, how I got it to work, and I'm even going to show you the PoE in the back end so you can kind of see it, how much it's impacting the build. Of course, we'll open a map just real quick so you can kind of see it in action a little bit. Nothing too major here. Okay, so it is Rational Doctrine. It is synthesized Cobalt Jewel that is themed for the Inquisitor. So it's the complete opposite end of the tree, thematically. Which is why we can't normally use it. Requires a strength to be more than dex, intelligence to be more than dex. If they line up the same strength, same dex, we get to unlock the full potential of this jewel. So I have managed to get my attributes as such. 103 strength, 103 intelligence, 101 dex. I've done exactly what I need to do to make this jewel fully functional. It says here you have consecrated ground while you're stationary, if your strength is your highest attribute. Great, consecrated ground, very good for me, especially as a berserk build. 5% increased life regen is pretty awesome, as well as reduced effect of curses, 50%, where I have 0 currently in my build. Very impactful there. It also gives profane ground in the case of intelligence matches up with it. Profane ground is very specific mechanic, very few ways to get it. Basically reduces enemies' resistances by 10% across the board and makes them 100% more, well, I should be careful how I word this. Effectively gives you 100% increased critical strike chance against those enemies. So it's not like massive, but I mean 100% is a big number, of course. Now, it's very important, the last 2 lines on here, it says effects of consecrated and profane ground linger for 4 seconds. Now, I used this tech in a way by taking the Inquisitor point in my Ascendant last league for the Hasting Ascendant Magic Find Lightning Arrow Deadeye. I used the Inquisitor to kind of unlock this here. It didn't come with profane ground, but it came with consecrated ground, and I was utilizing the Calm Spirit for the increased rage regen that way. But in this case, I actually get to use the full brunt of it. I don't have to take an ascendancy point for it. I can use it, get it in 1 jewel alone, which is pretty crazy. By the way, it comes with some pretty hefty synthesis mods in some cases, depending on which one you buy. I paid a bunch extra for this one. I'm not saying you have to worry about the synthesis mods, but they are there. So yeah, that's how it works. And let's go ahead and see it in action. So I'm going to open a map here. This is some kind of really nasty rolled Crimson Temple map. I'm not going to worry about Magic Find or anything. Just show it in a map that features content that's relevant for the character. First of all, you can see I have consecrated ground on me, right? And if I start moving, it has a timer, 4 seconds. If I stop for a second, it's up again. If I stop for a second, it's up again. That should tell you that this is 100% uptime on consecrated ground. That's 100% uptime on 5% life regen and 50% reduced curse effect on you. That alone is perhaps worthy of a jewel slot, depending on the downside. Then if I go in here and I start firing things, it's hard to see because I don't have good MTX, but you can see it's profane ground right there. Now, there is one issue with this. It can only have 1 copy at a time. Now, it also lingers on enemies. So any enemy that gets caught in profane ground will take the downside of that, and it will linger for 4 seconds. Well, actually, I saw 2 copies of that. That's weird. I thought there was only 1. Wow, maybe it's even better than I thought. Discovering in real time. Maybe this can actually hold 2 copies of it. It's just so hard to see. But I guess... yeah, maybe just 1 copy, maybe 2. I don't know. I could have swore I saw 2 at once. But it seems like once a new one spawns, the old one kind of runs away. But this should work on bosses. So let's go ahead and run all the way up to the boss room. You see, it's a pretty good build. And this boss is just sitting under profane ground. Now he teleported out, but he's still affected because it's 4 seconds lingered on him. So it doesn't even matter if a boss moves really fast and constantly gets out. As long as you're critting, which it does require you to crit fairly frequently to be up 100% of the time, it's going to be working. So you can see it's constantly spawning, respawning, doing a little bit of ghosting here. So I guess I just can't stop myself from getting ghosted there. But anyway, I'm not running this map for real. You know, there's no scarab sections in here. Just wanted to show you a little bit about what that looked like. As a small AoE radius, and would be even more impactful if you had some actual AoE on the character. I do have, I think, 10% AoE on this character, and that's it. So maybe, you know, for some other kind of builds that feature crit and a huge amount of AoE, it would be extremely impactful. So let's just kind of review real quick. It says 25, I didn't mention this part earlier, but 25% chance to create profane ground on critical strike. Which, I mean, I have like 80% critical strike chance all the time. So it won't work if your build has essentially 0 critical strike chance. We'll have to kind of put that out there. But the way I made this work is, first of all, I tattooed every deck slot. So that was easy. I also happen to have Blood Siphon. So this is something that disaligned my strength and intelligence rolls. I was able to compensate a little bit of that with another intelligence roll. Could have done more so if I wasn't running an Elegant Hubris. But I got the remaining 10 intelligence through my medium clusters. Just easy to do. Just get some medium clusters. Get 5 here, 5 there. Boom. I got my intelligence and strength lined up again. The remaining amounts to get over Dex was quite easy for me in this case. I dropped the pure 27% crit strike chance craft to get the hybrid here, which is actually very typical even for mirror tier bows to have that strength and intelligence roll there. And instead of having attack speed, this was really the only place where I made any real sacrifice to my damage, is I dropped the attack speed and picked up the strength intelligence roll. And between doing those things that I just mentioned, I was able to drive my strength and intelligence roll above Dex. Oh, I should have mentioned also we have a nice, cool strength Dex or strength intelligence roll right here. And I did have to drop finesse. I normally take up finesse for 20 Dex, but they did require me to drop that. That's not such a bad thing. I was able to get a passive point back anyway and figure out the accuracy regardless. But there you go. You get to see it kind of in action, get a sense of just how powerful it is. Last thing before we go, I'm going to show you on the PoB what kind of impact this makes. So yeah, you can once again see profane ground just follows me right here. It doesn't, you know, it'll never leave me effectively. But here we got a PoB. I got configuration up. I'm not going to go over this character right now. This is not some kind of like build showcase in full character, but you can see I have very high quick chance already, right? And then I have very high rage regen already because I'm prioritizing those things quite highly. Well, now I can either deprioritize them and get it more of it this way and, you know, put that power somewhere else, or I just double dip, I guess, and get even more. Let's go ahead and take Consecrate Ground. You see I go from 11 rage per second all the way up to 13. That's 2 more rage per second. It would be even more if I increase my life pool, by the way. So that's big. And again, don't forget 50% reduced effective curses on you is huge if you're, you know, maybe not getting that somewhere else, which is the case I'm not. Also, is the enemy on profane ground? Yes. Now watch this. It says I have almost 17 million DPS. This is optimal conditions, technically against a pinnacle boss. I'm not really using pinnacle bosses in here, but I do have everything configured so that, you know, I'm doing like kind of maximum damage. But here, watch this. You're not going to believe this. Number goes all the way up to 21 million. From 17 to 21, this is basically a 25% more damage just for that. That's a pretty crazy amount of damage. Certainly worthy of sacrificing 12% attack speed on the Quiver, among a few other things, I think. Granted, it's not, in fully clearing zone, profane, not everything's going to be hit by profane ground at once, but it's going to be highly effective. It's going to be great for any kind of bosses, Delirium bosses, Beyond boss, Legion bosses, Essence monsters, opening a strong box, Rogue Exile inside. When it matters, it's going to be there. Map boss, it's going to be there when it matters. And that's the important thing. So that is one I wanted to show you today. Really excited about this one. Usually once or twice a league, I find something like this, can bring it to you guys. Cool new discovery. There will be more discoveries to come this league, no doubt. But that's it for this video. Rational Doctrine. Get your hands on one. You can easily manipulate your strength and intelligence to be higher. I don't care what build you have or where you're at on the tree. It's very easy to line up strength and intelligence to be the same and to be higher than your dex, even for freaking bow build. Still easy to do. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're already using this. Let me know if you even heard about it or knew about it. I'd be anxious to see your opinion on it in the comments below. In the meantime, going to be coming out with more content. I'm going to be showing you a little bit more on solo ghosting. I think I've cracked the code on it, so to speak. You can see me streaming live on Twitch doing that, but I will be dropping a real video on it showing you everything that I've learned through lots of practice and trial and error on that. I didn't show you in this video, but I will be showing you in the next video about more of the ghosting stuff. Anyway, gotta go for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.